So, Chris, Teesside's excited. Are you excited?
Yeah, we are, and we should be. Um, the draw has picked us out against the. I know there might be a little bit of debate on maybe Merseyside and maybe the other half of Manchester, but I think pound for pound, this is the biggest club in England, what they've achieved and everything that goes with Manchester United and Europe stroke the world as well, and we're playing them on a Friday night in front of 75,000, backed by 9,000 of our supporters. I should imagine they'll be all round the ground as well, and I'm sure they'll just be behind one goal, clamouring to get tickets. So it's a great opportunity, and for us to show what we're about from a footballing point of view, and I'm sure everybody's going to enjoy it from a spectator's point of view. Going to Old Trafford, that's where we want to be. The club has been there before. This is where we want to be, the likes of Old Trafford, week in, week out. So it's a huge test for the players, but one that we're really looking forward to.
I know you've just described how big they are, how successful they've been, but you've got a real chance here, haven't you? The way you're playing, there is a real belief about that you could go there and cause them problems.
Yeah, not one to make bold statements. I've been in the game long enough, but we're in good nick. So the performances and the results have been good since we come in, and the players are playing with belief. They've won different types of games. They've ground out results. They've won late on. I think obviously through that period where we won at Blackpool and we won against Swansea. Let's not forget that we turned over two of the arguably the top sides in the division. In Bournemouth and Forest at home. We went to Stoke away and got a winning draw in my eyes. We went to Huddersfield and dominated a side that's above us in the playoffs. So, performances generally have been really good, and the players have been fabulous since we come into the football club, and we've got to keep that going. It's not going to be the biggest shock of all time cup upsets if we get a result on the night, but when we did our presentation yesterday and we're putting out their potential team, there's not a lot of negatives that we can really talk about them as individuals and as a team. So I think we all understand that it's a huge challenge in front of us. But the competitive aspect of myself and the staff and the players, I keep saying it, to be involved as a manager and coaches and the longevity we've had, there is a huge desire and competitive aspect about us as individuals that whether we play in, we believe that we can go and get a result, and I believe the players have got that belief. But we've got to have a fabulous night in terms of a lot of aspects. From our point of view, playing to the top of our ability, being good in both boxes, and of course, the result is decided in Manchester United's changing room. If they say yes and they play as they can play, then the odds are heavily stacked against us. But let's give it a go and see if we can produce a memory that'll last for a long time.
One of the beauties of the FA Cup is the larger than usual away allocation you get as well, and we've talked about the fact that Boro fans have snapped up the tickets in record time. How important is it that tomorrow night you give them something out there on the pitch that they can get their teeth into, so they can really get behind you?
Yeah, we want to give them something to shout about. Of course, we're not going there to sit back. We're going to get pushed back. We understand that. There's got to be a shape and structure, out of possession, because we can't go gung-ho and go at it, because we can't be that naive, because we'll just get picked off by world-class players. So, we're gonna have to defend with a structure and a shape, and be really good out of possession. But which you said to the players, they will have an opportunity to play, I don't want us just to be sat on the crossbar for 95 minutes. we've got to be ambitious, and we've got to be aggressive in our approach. And when we have an opportunity to play, we've got to go forward and try and cause them problems. And yeah, we want to give the supporters something to shout about. We've got a responsibility. We're delighted that the faith that the supporters have shown in us. Delighted that the club as well took up the allocation of 9,000 tickets, because I should imagine that, you know, in these times, Friday night, Manchester, you know, it's not on a doorstep, live on ITV. I suppose there was a question mark: do we take up the allocation? And I think, you know, that's been justified, and the appetite for the team and going to Old Trafford is huge. So we've got a responsibility to give them something to shout about, as you rightly said.
Now, United have had this mini winter break, of course, a couple of weeks without a game. Does that give you any smidge of a
who knows
advantage?
I can't say. I've not got no crystal ball. Who knows? You never know until the ball rolls, if that's a bonus or a hindrance. So we've got too much to worry about regarding that. We've got to concentrate on ourselves, making sure that we get our performance right individually and as a group, and play well as a team. You know, they've got some fabulous individuals and that can hurt you. That hurt, you know, 3/4 of the Premier League, even if not more, and in Europe as well. So a huge array of talent to choose from. But it's not a sightseeing tour from our players. It's not a shirt swapping situation. You know, I don't want people to go into Old Trafford and enjoy the visit, and I want them to play well. I want the players to play well, and want to give us a good account of ourselves and make it really competitive and make it a dangerous night for Manchester United. And if we play well, I believe we can do. And if we don't, then it will be a comfortable night for Man United, and nobody wants that, me included.
Now, Matt Crooks tells us he's losing sleep over whether he's going to keep his place in the team. Are you losing any sleep over the team you're going to pick?
No. We had an idea what team we were going to pick off the back of at the weekend. You know, there is a thought process. You know, things happen. You know, Riley McGree was a really disappointing one for us, obviously. You know, getting the infection away, so he's one that misses out, obviously, because he's still in quarantine, locked up in an hotel room somewhere far away. So that's a disappointing one for him. But everybody's fit and ready, and we as I said, we had an idea of the team and how we were going to go about it, pretty straight. You know, well, for maybe a week or 10 days. Listen, as we talked about in COVID time, something can happen this morning. You know, we could get an injury this morning in training, and we have to change our plans. But hopefully, fingers crossed, we haven't. We've prepared in the way that we always prepare for every game, and obviously Crooksy and a lot of boys. Yeah, of course they want to play in that game, but it's making sure that we pick the right team to go and try and get a result on the night.
Just lastly from me, obviously the transfer window closed earlier this week. You've got what you've got now. Are you happy with the shape of the squad after all the dealings have been done?
Yeah, I mean, it was quiet towards the end. There was potentially a couple of situations that we're fighting on to improve the squad, but you know, as everybody talks about, it's not a straightforward window. So listen, I thought we did as much as we possibly could. You know, we talked about at the start, you know, that we needed to improve the group in a couple of areas, especially at the top of the pitch. That I think we have done. Bringing, you know, Riley McGree in was big for us. Kalen, we brought in as well as a development player. which obviously did, and that's one for the future. There's a couple of other positions that we'd love to improve, but I said all along about being smart from a financial point of view as well. A couple of clubs have really chucked the kitchen sink at it, and we have to be smart as well in terms of how we go about our business. There's a few boys that went out, which had to happen. There's a couple that didn't go out that maybe affected sort of the incomings as well. But we did as much as we possibly could as a football club, and that's good enough for me. We tried late on to do bits and pieces, but we were sensible about it, and I think that's in the times that we're working. I think everybody understands that and respects that as well. I think the supporters respect that it's not a boom or bust. Casino attitude to the future of the football club, and chucking it all on red or black for a short term punt at it that long term puts the club in a situation that it doesn't want to be. I'm all for that. So it was a sensible approach, and window shuts, and we're on with the real work of working with a group of players now that have got something to go at for the second part of the season.
Good, Bruce. Well, see you tomorrow. Good
Cheers, Mark. Thanks very much.
Gail from Sky.
Hey, Gail.
Morning. Just a couple from me. You've had a few good days out against United, haven't you? Thinking back to a year ago, but that wasn't the only one, was it? Take us back to that sort of day, and whether there is anything that you can impart to your players or yourself, or just to take that confidence of reliving, I guess, one of the great days of being a football manager.
I've got to say, Gail, the season, and I'm going. You've asked me a question, so I'm going to talk openly and honestly about it. Without supporters, it took a huge shine off everything. Regardless if, last time out I was part of a club that won at Old Trafford. It was in front of nobody, so really it was a hollow victory. Really, in a really difficult season. The game's nothing without supporters, Gail. In my opinion, you just look at it now. We've sold 9,000 tickets in 24 hours. And it's going to be 75,000. It's a different sport. It's not even a different game. It's a different sport.
Well, that's extra motivation for you then, isn't it?
Well,
not that you needed probably much more.
I don't need motivation to go and play at Man United in front of 75,000 people. But I'm just saying, going back to that game that that I was involved in, it just become a game of football in the season of games of football, really. And without supporters, the game, in my opinion, is nothing. And I might be criticised on that, and we did it for a reason, and I totally understand that. And I was a huge advocate to getting out there and giving everybody in lockdown the opportunity to focus on something different when we were in a really difficult period of our lives, and we were quite privileged to be able to go to work and go and play football, but in front of no fans. Home and away wasn't a great experience. The result, as I said, we'll look back on in books, and that team won at Old Trafford, 2-1, but without supporters, that's what it's all about. Driving up to Old Trafford, being involved, in the lead up, it being in and around the training ground, everybody talking about the game. Going to the hotel, driving from the hotel to the ground, seeing supporters go in, car parks full, the buzz of a game with supporters in the ground, warm up, punters in the ground, coming out, the roar, everything involved in it. Us possibly being on the back foot for 95% of the game and cheering if we get a corner. Listen, that's what the game's all about. The game is a game of predominantly run by supporters, and it'll be a brilliant occasion and atmosphere. on Friday night, and one that will, I'm sure, inspire our players to put in a good performance.
I was interested what you said, in terms of if they want the result, that'll be sort of decided for them in the changing room.
Man United's changing room, yeah.
Yes, no, absolutely. In a sense, does it still mean more to you and clubs not in the Premier League to go and do it?
Well, it's an opportunity to pit ourselves against world-class players and a world-class football club that's at the top table and wants to challenge for major honours. So every opportunity is an opportunity to measure and to see how far we've come. This is where we want to be, Gail. Of course, the club has had Premier League experience, and the players, want to go to Old Trafford and Anfield and the Emirates and the Etihad, every other week, and they want to host the likes of every club in the Premier League and be part of that. That's where everybody wants to be, that has got to be a target and an ambition for everybody at the football club to try and achieve. But I'm at a club of one of 19 or 20 that's had Premier League experience in the Championship, and all want to get into that division. So to get out of the Championship is an incredibly tough ask, and a massive challenge for us all, regardless if you're a team that comes down and you're chucking incredible amounts of money at it, or you're a team like we played last week, Coventry, who are there or thereabouts, Luton Town, who are there or thereabouts, Blackburn Rovers, who are there and thereabouts. They all want to be involved and have that opportunity to try and pit their wits against the best players in Europe and the world every other week.
Thanks.
Cheers, Gail. Thanks.
Nisha from the BBC.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, Nisha.
You said that, you will have to prepare for this game like you do any other, but has this week had a different feel about it with everyone talking about the game? And how do you channel that excitement of the players?
I'm just in the bubble, really, of working with the players. Of course, it goes up a notch. You can see that in the body language. And I don't want to knock that out of them. It's a huge challenge in front of us on Friday night, and one to be enjoyed. And you only take memories and memorable memories if you play well and get something from the game. So there's an opportunity for us. We understand that. But we're in the bubble, we're bubble of the football club in terms of keeping our feet on the ground, working our way towards that game, making sure the preparation's right, that we get the balance right from an attitude point of view and an emotional point of view as well, that we don't get too hyped up, but we're not on the beach with and got our feet up and relaxed, and all of a sudden we're 3-0 down after 15 minutes because we haven't started. So we understand. Through experience, how to prepare the players and try to prepare the players for what is an incredible, tough game and a fabulous environment to play in.
After the defeat to Blackburn, a really good win against Coventry, do you think that set you up really nicely for tomorrow's game? Yeah,
we were after a reaction. It wasn't the most free-flowing of performances from us, but we got a reaction off the players. I'd rather have not have had the reaction and got a result at Blackburn and got a result against Coventry, but these things happen. It happened to Tony Mowbray's team the week before, and it does. It does happen. You have slips, you have down days in the season. It wasn't a great evening for us, but players have responded well, and we've trained well this week. So hopefully we can take that into the game.
And just finally, do you think has this been one of the most enjoyable weeks at your time at the club? With this huge game coming up.
No, I just work every day. Really, we work every day. We don't get ahead of ourselves. We sort of work in the moment. So it's been enjoyable. I've really enjoyed my time so far. But I'm 8, 9, 10 weeks into a job. So still a lot of work to do. But everybody around I'm going to say it because obviously I'm surrounded by people who work at the football club, and I've got to say nice things really because they'll have the ump if I don't. But no, everybody's been really good. Everybody's really good and supported us fabulously well in trying to fake performances and results. And it's a great club to work for.
Best of luck. Thanks, Chris.
Cheers, Nice. Thank you.
Simon from Tyne Tees.
Hey, Simon.
Hello, Chris. I always think it's a bit unfair to say to a manager or a head coach in these cup positions that you've got nothing to lose. But is it fair to say that you've got an awful lot potentially to gain? Not just in terms of the result, but possibly the rest of the season as well?
Yeah, it's of course everybody understands that. There's cliches that have come out for the last 100 years, haven't they, about teams that are expected to win and underdogs that have got nothing to lose. We have got something to lose. We've got we want to go there and do ourselves justice and show show that we these players want to compete against top players in Europe and put themselves up against there. The key for me always is what makes these top players what they are is that they do it day in, day out, game in, game out, season in, season out, and that's the reason that they're coveted and they go for huge transfer fees and an enormous amount of money in their careers. So it's an opportunity. We've got an obligation to play as well as we possibly can for 9,000 of our supporters who are attending the game and the amount that are going to be watching on Friday night. They want us to go well, and we want to give them something to shout about and cause that upset, that shock that happens. That does happen. You can't get away from it. It does happen in the FA Cup. Not going to be the biggest of cup shocks. It will be a shock, but as I said, we've got to do so many things right on Friday night to go through. But yeah, there's a glint in their eye of the boys. Your motivation levels for everything that you do are big, but certainly going to Old Trafford on Friday night in front of 75,000 is something that we want to be involved in. We want to be involved in big games between now and the end of the season here at Middlesbrough, and we want to go to the likes of Old Trafford on a regular basis in the future. So let's go and enjoy it and see what we can take from the game.
Yeah, just the only other thing for me, you mentioned the 9,000 Boro fans. The number's amazing, but if you look beyond the number, that's a load of people knocking off work early on Friday, driving along the M62, finding somewhere to have a drink perhaps beforehand, that kind of thing. I mean, for you guys, there's a lot in that because that's pride, that's responsibility, and that's an awful lot of excitement, isn't it?
Yeah, good. We've set that up because of our performances and how we've gone about our results in the last 2 or 3 months. I suppose if we're struggling and not winning games and not playing in a way that people were enjoying, then I'm sure the club wouldn't have took their allocation up, and there wouldn't have been an enthusiasm to support us. And there's certainly an enthusiasm to support us so far in terms of. Talked about it, 30,000, biggest gate in the Championship so far this season, 30,000 on Boxing Day, and the numbers that have followed us. So, of course, we want to, whether it's payback, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. We've got a responsibility to go and do as well as we can do, and I think you understand the competitive aspect of football and the competitive aspects and attitude of people involved in football. We want to go there and create a memory and get a result.
Thank you. Enjoy it.
Cheers, Simon. Thank you.
Damien from PA.
Morning, Chris.
Morning.
Chris, when you first took Sheffield United up, not many people outside South Yorkshire gave you much chance of doing anything in the Premier League, but you proved them wrong. Do you relish that role of underdog?
Well, that football club wasn't always the underdog in the period that I was there. We had to deal with different challenges. Challenges have been a huge club in League One, 12th in League One. They were sort of different challenges. The challenges change with the progression that you make. So, we've got a responsibility and a pressure on us as Middlesbrough Football Club in the Championship to win games of football. I think people are realistic and understand, expectation levels as well with the competition that the division brings and how difficult it is to get out of. But any club that goes up out of the Championship into the Premier League is going to be an underdog. So, but they're just words. You go into games with a competitive attitude, of course, because that's what defines your career really, and players' careers to be footballers, because they've had to be right the way through since they started, right the way through to gaining the first professional contract and their longevity in the profession, and the same applies for coaches and managers.
Talking of managers, Ralph Rangnick arrived in England with a very impressive reputation, and that he's found it tough in the Premier League to an extent, but the FA Cup is something entirely different.
Well, yeah, full respect for the manager's CV, and to be appointed manager of Manchester United, I should imagine is a great honour for Ralph, and it has been in the past a huge responsibility of always, and a huge expectation that comes with it. It's understandable, and I think that I'm not going to tell him, as well. I think he understands that, being an experienced football man who's been hugely successful in his career so far, and he'll want to carry that on at Manchester United.
That's great. Good luck.
Thank you.
Scott Wilson, please.
Hey, Scott.
Hi, Chris. You all right?
Yeah, good, mate.
Just one on Riley, Chris. I mean, obviously, you said it. It's disappointing that he's not available for this game. It's probably even more disappointing, isn't it, that he's called up in a hotel room and presumably not able to train and stuff. I mean, is there a worry that might knock him back a few weeks from where you would hope he would be?
No, we've managed to get a treadmill and a little bit of CV equipment into his room. So, yeah. So, yeah, aircon's on full blast, I should imagine, at the moment.
He's running from one end to the other, is
you've got to touch all four walls how many times in an hour, see if you can beat your record. So yeah, it's really disappointing for him, because we've been really looking forward to him. It was disappointing that he went away, understandable. So yeah, it's just a little bit unfortunate situation that he's involved in at the moment. We looked at, obviously, from a timing point of view, getting him back and being involved in this in Friday night's game, but now we have to wait and go through the sort of isolation period and the tests for him to get back on the plane and getting back here as soon as possible.
And just one on the transfer window. Obviously, Uche went out, which you said. Marcus went out. Leah Saliki didn't.
Yep.
Although there are still some foreign transfer windows still open. Is that right? So, I mean, is there a chance that there could be negotiations there, or are you expecting at the minute him to come back post-Africa Cup of Nations and be in and around the training group? Yeah,
I mean, this is not a personal decision. So, James has been good in his personality. And as all, there's no favourites. There has to be a show of discipline, a show of commitment, a show of wanting to be part of a group, and there's no downside in him coming back and doing. The door's not shut for James at all. You never know what's round the corner. If he comes back and produces, really good levels in training, or opportunities open up that might open up, then he takes the opportunity. Then there's no problem with me regarding that, and I like to think that the boy's got a level of professionalism that there won't be any problem with him, because there's no, I keep saying, Scott, there's no downside to doing well. Nobody gets if you chuck your toys out the pram, or you spit your dummy out. Who does that affect? It might affect me, but really deep down it's affecting the player. So he'll come back in. I'm not sure about the windows, Scott, in terms of what's open and what's not. But when James come back, I think the game's today, is it?
Yeah.
So there's a huge possibility of them winning and progressing into the final. So when James comes back, we'll assess, and he'll be part of the group moving forward.
And just last one from me. I mean, you said there, look, this isn't a shirt swapping exercise kind of thing. And, while we're right to talk about you as the underdogs because of who Man United are, with the greatest of respect, this isn't a Mansfield going to Old Trafford or a Macclesfield going to Old Trafford. This is a side in the top half of the Championship, going to have a right good go at it, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. You're spot on, and that's how I see it. I'm not going to make any predictions about us going in there and and doing and being favoured. Yeah, of course. You look at everything in perspective. We all understand that. The size and the enormity of the job in hand for us to come through on the night, and it's one that we're looking forward to and tackling head on. I think that's the best way of putting it. We're going to give it everything that we've got to try and get a result and try and go through to the next round. If not worth getting on the bus. Every time we get on the bus, there has got to be a huge belief that we can go and get a result. Different, it does. Us getting on the bus for Mansfield, us getting on the bus for Old Trafford. Is there a degree of expectation that possibly we've got a great chance of winning against Mansfield, and maybe the odds some sort of go tumbling up in terms of us going? Because that's football. Everybody knows that. We understand who we're up against when the team sheets come out. I'll try not to fall off my chair and say, oh dear me, what's going off when we get their team sheets. When Juicy goes back into the coaching room and the boys start putting the team up on the board, and it's this, it's that, it's De Gea and it's Maguire and it's Varane and all that. Let's not crumble in that process. But the old stuff, like there's no guarantees in any game of football. There was no guarantees when we got on the bus at Mansfield that we were going to win that game comfortably. And Mansfield made it incredibly difficult for us to go through, and I think that's got to be our attitude against Manchester United, that we're not going to make it easy for them. And if you do go through, which you're expected to go through, then you've got to have a really good day and play well, and let's not make it as easy. Let's make it as dangerous as possible for them, as Mansfield did for us. And I was full of admiration and compliments for them, because they really did put us through the mixer on that one, and we want to have that same attitude going to Old Trafford.
Good luck tomorrow.
Cheers, Scott. Thanks.
Simon from the Mirror.
Hey, Simon.
Hi, Chris. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
When you look at that team sheet, it's such a lot of stellar names on it and fantastic world stars. You've got to kind of treat that with respect, but you're in a weird situation where you actually want your players not to be treating them with respect, as in not being a sightseeing club and not swapping shirts and all that. Is that you kind of got to have it?
Of course.
Them as well,
yeah, they understand. They understand the players. They've seen them. They watch Premier League just as much as we all do, and understand the history. Some even more than others. Like you said, Crooksy, who's a Man U fan, and the other boys that have. We've got a little bit of experience. Sol Bamba, Lee Peltier, Paddy McNair, ex-Manchester United boy. We've got some boys that have experienced Old Trafford. But the respect has got to be earned, hasn't it, from their point of view? Not that they'll be saying that, but we understand the players that we're up against and the size of the task, definitely. But
if they want a shirt, they've got to do it in the changing rooms afterwards.
100%. They're not looking at them, or fuzzy-eyed and whatever. They're up against a competitor, and the team's in front of us, and we're in front of them. So, I'm sure Manchester United as well will have done their own work as well on us, and understand what we're about, and treat us with the utmost respect. That I think those days are gone where it's just turn up and let's just turn up and put our boots on and walk out, and it's going to be a comfortable win. I think they've done their analysis on us, and knowing that we're a competitive side, and we've got some good players in our group.
Thank you, Chris. Good luck.
Cheers, Simon. Thank you.
Craig from the Gazette.
Hey, Craig.
Morning, Chris. Hope you're well. Chris, on the Man United game, I mean, we all know the aspirations, the ultimate goal of the club is to get to the Premier League. And while I appreciate Man United are kind of top end of that, is there any kind of sense of looking at this as, almost like a measuring stick or a test of the players, how far away from that they are?
Well, you can take whatever out of it, what you can. I mean, we've just got to concentrate on ourselves and play to the best of our ability. And if we do that, I believe we'll be competitive on the night. But the challenge is for us to play well and us to rise to that occasion. I think one thing that you understand when you play in the Premier League, you can't have any days off. You have got to play absolutely full tilt and to your max to get any sort of result. A draw or a win, whatever game that you're playing. And I think that's a strength for the Premier League. That's the competitive aspect of that division, is that anything under you get done. You've got to be absolutely spot on. Every point is as precious as it can be. I'm talking about teams that are coming up, obviously, which was a team that I was involved in. But if you are at your max, and you do give everything, and you have good days, which you do, you can, and I think that everybody in the Premier League understands that, and I think that's what makes it such a special league, and why it's so talked about, and why it's so competitive, and why people from foreign countries, managers from foreign countries, and players from foreign countries understand how competitive and how in your face that division is, because whether Man United are playing a team that's at the bottom of the division, or a team that's midway, or whatever, I think they understand that they've got to turn up to get a result, and you can't take anything for granted in that division.
Yeah, and just on injuries, Chris, you've mentioned that you're looking well throughout the squad. More on the long termers though, is there any kind of update on Mark Bowler and how he's looking at the moment?
Yeah, possibly Mark's going to be. We're looking into March. I think Mark's still got a good month to 6 weeks before he'll start getting involved. But he's working away. And obviously we've talked about the other long term ones. Sammy Amiobi, Darnell Fisher are out. I believe for the season. So in one way, one of the things that we obviously looked at when we first came in was the sort of injury list. So that's sort of cleared up, and we're delighted about that. And fingers crossed we can stay healthy. There's going to be your Mark Bowler injuries, which was a contact injury, a tackle in training. That's part and parcel of that. But if we can stay clear from anything else, that'd be great, and it's going to be vitally important for the last 18 games of the season.
Yeah, and just on Sammy Amiobi, Chris, you mentioned he's probably out for the season. I mean, he came to the club, he signed for the club in the summer and got injured relatively quickly, and unfortunately just hasn't been around. I mean, have you spoken to him at all? Have you kind of how is he? Because that must be incredibly disheartening for him, kind of just after joining a new club.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so you see him around the place. So he's got the support of all the medical staff. So we understand that. But as you can imagine, with long-term injuries, of course, there's a level of respect and the part of the club. But focus has been on the players that sort of affect performances and results. Sort of short to medium term.
Yeah. Of course, yeah. Just last one from me, Chris. Just a different one. I presume you saw yesterday that West Brom sacked the manager. Now, in the summer, you were heavily linked for that, and in a case of kind of what might have been, I just wonder, was there anything in that, and were you close at all, whoever getting that job?
Yeah, there's discussions that took place. So that was possibly the extent of it. There was quite lengthy discussions that took place.
Yeah, not giving much more than that.
No, listen, I'm working in the present, so these things happen. So that club wanted to take a different path, but of course it was, I've said all along, it was my decision to leave the club that I was working for. It was my attitude to go back into work pretty quickly, knowing, looking at sort of various situations. And yeah, there was a couple of situations that I would have been interested in, and discussions took place. But you have to respect the decisions that people make and move on, which I moved on straight away from. And delighted that obviously the situation that I'm in now, in working for a really good football club, and one that I'm looking forward to working for a number of years.
Yeah, I'm certain most on Teesside will be happy that things turned out.
Well, that's these things happen, Craig, don't they? It's sort of a little bit sliding doors moments, and everything for a reason. And I'm delighted the way it's worked out.
Brilliant. Thanks, Chris. And
cheers, Craig. Thanks, mate.
Rob, please.
Hey, Rob.
Hi, Chris. 75,000 people, 10,000 Boro fans. If we get it right, it could be quite a magical night, couldn't it?
Magical weekend, Rob. I'm not just saying a night. Well, listen, that's what you're in the game for. I'm not going to shirk away from it. It most probably will be if we manage to get the result that we're all desperately after. But listen, there's so many things that have got to go right for us on the night. But that's what you're in the game for nights like this, aren't you? To achieve things, to make memories, to win games of football against the odds, and it will be an incredible one against the odds. But we're all turning up and doing our best, because, as I said, it's not worth getting on the bus. The players know that. They understand they've got to produce a performance of a lifetime for them personally, and as a team, it's got to be right up there with great performances of this football club. To go to Old Trafford on a Friday night as a Championship club, as we are at the moment, because that's what we are. To go and get a result against an iconic, historic football club of the likes of Manchester United and everything that they represent. So, but we're turning up, and we wanna go there and be competitive, and hopefully have a day that'll stay, like you said, that'll stay with us for a long time.
And although we're not going to look beyond Old Trafford, it could, if we do get it right, and it is a really memorable night, you'll be looking for that to inspire everybody at QPR next Wednesday?
Yeah, I mean, it can't help but inspire you going to Old Trafford and the lead up to the game, and wanting to be involved in a game of this magnitude. Even though it's the fourth round of the FA Cup, it's a huge game for us, and one that we want to use going forward, of course. And if we get the result that we're all after, of course we want to use it. It doesn't define our season if we win or if we lose. There's still a hell of a lot of football to be played, and we've got a huge game. Every game is taking on bigger importance, and that's because of our results over the last sort of 10 weeks. So this is how we wanted it to be. I didn't come into the job and wanted to lose, and making sure that games there was nothing in the games. As the weeks go by, I want it to ramp up, and going into the game next Wednesday, off the back of, if we can produce an incredible performance, we can go there and try and keep that momentum going.